back here. Let's check in with Susie Colbert.
Well, a little earlier, you guys were talking about Andy Reid's success. Just 3 years ago, 13 losses, one of the worst teams in the NFL. But a lot of the guys on that team have endured. They're on this team tonight, more than half the current starters. And how about this one? In 1998, Ray Rhodes told Jeremiah Trotter he was the most disappointing rookie on that 3-13 team. Now, consecutive Pro Bowl bursts maybe make him feel a little bit better.
Oh, absolutely, Susie. Led this team in tackles since he began the season. 7-1 away from home. Staley this time hit in the backfield. Let's check in with Susie Colbert.
Well, a little earlier, you guys were talking about Andy Reid's success. Just 3 years ago, 13 losses, one of the worst teams in the NFL. But a lot of the guys on that team have endured. They're on this team tonight, more than half the current starters. And how about this one? In 1998, Ray Rhodes told Jeremiah Trotter he was the most disappointing rookie on that 3-13 team. Now, consecutive Pro Bowl bursts maybe make him feel a little bit better.
Oh, absolutely, Susie. Led this team in tackles since he became the starting middle linebacker. Third down. Eagles playing it nice and smart and conservative. Just run and work on the clock. 3:49 to go.
Paul, you also talked about the way that hurt a team is run right at them. The Tampa Bay defensive front four in the last couple of games has really controlled the line of scrimmage. They brought a lot of pressure. If you can get pressure out of your front four, that means that you can play zones behind it. And today they weren't able to do that, so they couldn't play zones. They started bringing people up. You get Donovan McNabb out of the pocket, and big plays are results.
Former teammates, Rice and McNabb.
What do you think, Paul? It's your specialty, right?
He didn't make it.
Okay.
Let me go 0 for 8. He didn't make it. There's a finger in there.
Look,
and get you.
Look at Donovan. I'm sorry, but it looks good to me. I think he did.
He didn't make it, man. Hey, these eyes never fail me.
I agree. Right there.
Except twice tonight. What a great guess.
Now, if you're Tampa Bay, special teams means everything. You go for a punt block.
I don't think so. I don't think you go for a punt block because if you rough them, then the game's over. Not that it isn't at this point, but you still want to try and conserve as much time as you can, put a return on, maybe get some field position.
I'll tell you what, watch how fast Sean Landeta gets this ball out of here. You got an experienced guy back there, and he knows the most important thing he's got to do is touch it, kick it.
Doesn't matter where it goes.
No,
just kick it.
No, just get it out as fast as you can.
Landeta in his 17th NFL season, his 20th as a pro. Carl Williams waits at his own 48.
Just waiting for the clock to run down, using as much clock as they can.
Bang, bang.
And a beautiful kick as well. Williams trying to get to the outside. Can't turn the corner. A loss of 2 on the return after a 46-yard beauty. Donovan McNabb has killed the Buccaneers 2 years in a row in the playoffs. We're at the Vet in Philadelphia. The Eagles by 15. Bucs take over at their own 40. Allstott on the little dump off. Stays on his feet, and Allstott across midfield. Guy is so tough. Boy, I love to watch him play.
Brad Johnson being a traffic policeman out there, moving people around, getting them set up.
Allstott again.
Trying to get to the sideline.
Trying to get a block from Dunn.
You know, he's almost better off trying to run straight up the field and resetting, because all the time it's taken him from the middle of the field to try and work to the sidelines, the clock just continues to run.
Tampa Bay with 2 timeouts left. And it's
see.
That was great awareness. That ball just hung in the air, waiting for Damon Moore to just come pick it and go.
A 59-yard interception return for a touchdown.
This baby just floats on, Brad. Look at that. He's trying to get it to Jaquez Green, and Damon Moore just steps in front, and it's hello, goodbye, see you in Chicago.
When you can't threaten anybody downfield the way they can't, the defense can just cover anybody underneath.
They've tried it twice. I mean, that's an area, whoever coaches this football team, if Tony Dungy is still there, great. But the Bucs need to find some way to get another receiver that can be productive besides Keyshawn Johnson.
And the Bucs have just tied a playoff record. 4 interceptions, their most in a playoff game since Doug Williams. The Eagles have wrapped it up. They'll get ready to go to Chicago. Head coach Tony Dungy, maybe the head coach only for another 208 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Glazer family up in their suite discussing what has gone wrong today. Frank Murphy on the return. And cut down at the 18-yard line. You have to hand it to the Eagle defense going back to early last year. They've allowed 24 or fewer points in 30 straight games. Their ticket is punched. The Bears would be up next at Soldier Field in Chicago.
Jeffrey Lurie, speaking of owners, there's one that's very happy and has no decisions to make as far as who his head coach is going to be.
Well, his coaching staff pretty well set, isn't it? Snap goes through the hand of Brad Johnson, takes it on the bounce, gets it done. To the 22, we'll check in the shooter.
And Mike, no one can handle the situation better than Tony Dungy. You rarely see someone so even-keeled. Nothing ever gets to him. He wears the same expression, win or lose. His assistant coaches commented the only time they've really seen him crack was earlier this week. His mother, Cleo May, passed away. But when his kids are acting up, he remains calm. And in light of all the recent reports, they thought for sure this would do it. No, remains even-keeled. He believes life is a lot bigger than the game. If you can't get to him as a man, then you certainly can't rival him as a coach.
Susie, there's an awful lot to like about that guy, and we have admired Tony Dungy for a long, long time, and certainly wish him the best regardless of how it turns out in Tampa Bay. And Warren Sapp said at the beginning of the year that if we don't win it, they just may blow the franchise up. Got a lot of high-profile, big-money guys.
You need to go, you know what you need to do? You need to go find somebody. I'll give you a name, Michael Westbrook, who's a free agent with the Washington Redskins. I think could be a great compliment to Keyshawn Johnson. First of all, Michael has an ego, but it would get lost in the egos on this football team, so he wouldn't have to worry about it. But to me, that would be a big, powerful, strong, down-the-field receiver that they need in this offense. They need to be able to throw the football a whole lot better.
Because certainly Brad Johnson can do that. The last 2 years ago, Washington threw for over 4,000 yards.
You know, and you got to think of it. Brad Johnson had 559 attempts for only 3,300 yards.
Right. Draw play to Dunn. Can't get out of the backfield. Wrapped up by Darwin Walker.
Darwin Walker was one of those guys from last week's game that proved to the coaches that he would be worthy of being up. Jim Johnson and Andy Reid weren't sure that he was going to dress for this game, but he played so well in the first game last week against this football team, they felt they had to bring him up.
Johnson on the screen. Holy smoke. Tim Houck, and if Houck is in a ball game, he's going to hit somebody. That time he smoked Warwick Dunn.
Donovan even covered his ears.
Oh.
Donovan's looking at this. Ooh.
Bucs are trying to get anything going on offense.
Nah, I'll tell you, they're just doing the right, smart thing. Run this thing up, get out of here.
The executive producer of ABC Sports is Howard Katz, the director of production, Bob Toms. Today's game produced by Jay Rothman, directed by Chip Dean. Technical director, Mark Hertler. Associate producers, Jeff Everett, Andy Reichwald, Brevin Martin, Aaron Owens, and Jonathan Lebovitz. Associate director, Dick Ellis. Associate to the producers, Brian Yarrow and Doug Malin. Up in the booth, Mark Fredrickson, our statistician, Dave Dare, our spotter, Nancy Volker, our stage manager, Alex Stern from Elias, all the tape and photographers, camera guys, everybody that has worked so hard all year. Thank you so much. It is over in Philadelphia. We'll be back with Susie Colbert right after this.